Hi there and welcome to Creative You Art Lesson Crates. This is Miss Karen and I'm your instructor for today. We're going to be working on peacocks today. The question is, which one's the girl? Well, if you look at these two pictures here, you have a really pretty one and then you have one that's more browns and just a little bit of color. Well, in the real world, the not so pretty one is actually the girl. She's the dull brown one. And the boys are created brightly colored so that they can attract the girls. The more eye feathers, which are these here, the real pretty ones, the more of those, the more of a chance that the girl will like him. Pretty cool, huh? Well, so I'm sorry, peahens, we're going to concentrate on the brightly colored peacocks today, but it's a fun project and I'm sure you're going to like it. What we need to do is get our pencil and a piece of paper out and we're going to get started. Okay, to get started, we want to first do the head of our peacock. So if you look at this picture here, we're going to put it to the bottom of your picture. So we want to start with an oval and draw super duper softly because if you mess up, you want to be able to erase it. So we're going to do an oval and then we're going to do another smaller oval above it. What that's going to be is a connected body to head. But first we need to add a neck. So we're just going to connect with a slight curve on both sides. And then we're going to let this side come off the page and this side come off the page. Go ahead and bring your line up and around. So you've almost made like a bowling pin. If you've ever been bowling, you know those pins at the end that are white and they have the red stripes. Now we can erase our guidelines that we had on the inside. They're not necessary. All right, I think that's a good look right there. So now I want to turn my peacock's head to the side, which means the beak is going to go that way or that way. It's not going to be coming straight in front. So I'm going to come up to the head. I want to come down and back and split it in half. I'm then going to put an eye, which is a frown, and a smile, circle, circle. And finally, peacocks have these beautiful lines at the top of their head. So I did 5 of them, and I'm going to put a ball at the top of each one. Now's the fun part. Now we're going to go ahead and draw lines that are fanning all the way around. You don't want them to be too close together, so I'm thinking no more than 15 lines. So we would start here and we would come around, and it's okay if they're wobbly. Wobbly lines are all right. 2, 3. You notice they're kind of starting to come around like a sun. 4, 5. I'm drawing super softly. 6, 7, 8, 9. So you see, that's with 9. Imagine if you have 15 lines going on there. That's a lot of lines. So I wouldn't do that many. So go ahead and pause the video and draw your lines, and then we'll get back together in just a second. Okay, so now what we want to do is draw those eyes. Remember the eyes of a peacock's, I can't pick up the paper. The eyes of a peacock's feathers are these beautiful, rounded, colorful feathers. We're going to do those. They're just like we did here with the eyeball, but sideways. So we're going to do like a C and a backwards C, or a frown and a smile. Some people even, if I just say draw a leaf, they understand it. You just don't want circles. not on the outside part. On the inside, we want to do a circle. And you could do as many of these as you wish. Remember, the more they have, the more attractive they are to the females. That means they end up falling in love and getting married. I don't know if peacocks actually get married, but wouldn't that be a beautiful wedding? Of course, the boys would look prettier than the brides, but that's okay. So you see, you fill it in all the way. And there you go. Now for the last part, you can add designs or patterns to the different sections. If you take each of these as a section, you can add designs. You can do zigzags. You can do wavy lines. You can do loop-de-loops. You can do anything you want. Let me think of one more. You can do zigzaggy lines that are squared, almost Minecraft-y. And maybe this one I'm going to stripe it. Notice I did every other section. That way whenever I fill it in, it's not too busy. So for the next part that you're going to want to do is get a permanent marker. And the reason we want permanent marker is when you fill it in with paint, you want the marker to show. So go ahead, get a permanent marker, and get back with me in just a second. All right, so I have my permanent marker here, and I'm going to go ahead and start outlining. What I like to tell my students is pretend that your marker is a train. Your pencil lines are the tracks. Keep your train on the tracks. If you go off those tracks, you're going to make lines you didn't plan on doing. Now look, my marker's a little thick, so I'm having to redraw these because I had them too close. So go ahead, outline everything neatly, and get back with me in just a minute. And there we have a fully outlined peacock. Isn't it beautiful? But it's kind of boring when you think how beautifully colored peacocks typically are. This one is very plain. So now it's up to you on how you'd like to fill this peacock in. You have your basic shapes here. You have your eye feathers, and you have your long feathers here, and you have your peacock. But you can choose to either use watercolors, acrylic paints, or colored pencils. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of all three, and you can use your choice of what's in your box as to what you would like to fill in your peacock with. So go ahead and pause the video, pull out the rest of your supplies, and we will go over them with you. Okay, so today you'll notice I've got my Disney music playing in the background. I love to do art with music. It makes me happy. It's a very entertaining thing for me to do. So I like to have it always playing in the background whenever I do art. I'm going to move my piece of art so we can go over a few things before you decide what you want to fill your picture with. So if you take a look here, I have a bucket with water and a paintbrush. I have some little paints here that are in containers. Those are acrylic paints. These are called watercolor paints, and these are colored pencils. You notice the watercolor paints are very dry. See that? Now these, if I open these up and stick my finger in it, it's going to be very wet. So logically, if you think about it, if I want to make these work, do I need a wet or a dry paintbrush? Well, you would need a wet paintbrush. So I would dip it in my water, and I wouldn't dry it off. I would come straight over to my paint. I would wet it, Make a nice little colored puddle here, and then you can paint. And you can do layers of the paint, and it'll get darker and darker. Pretty cool, huh? Now, one thing you don't want to do when you work with watercolor paints is you don't want to dip it in two colors at the same time. Because if you dip it in two colors at the same time, they're going to mix, and it's going to be a big old mess, and you don't want that. Now, for acrylic paints, you don't want a wet brush, so you want to get as much water off your brush as possible. Dip it in paint and paint. Now this, like I said, is acrylic paint. Acrylic stains your clothing. So if you get it on you, it's never coming off. Not a good thing. So you will want to make sure that if you use acrylic paints, you wear something that can get messed up, or you wear an apron. Now sometimes I'll send you what's called tempera paint. Tempera paint will come in containers just like this, but I will make it very well known that it is tempera paint. Tempera paint feels like the regular acrylic paint, but it is a little more jelly-like. So then we have our colored pencils, which is a dry medium. You have the most amount of control with colored pencils. My friend makes fun of me because I call them pencil colors. I've always called them pencil colors, and she said that I'm saying it wrong, but you know what? In my world, it's pencil colors. So as you can see, there are a variety of ways to fill in a picture. And these aren't the only ways. These are just 3 of the most common ways. You can use crayons, you can use watercolor pencils, you can use watercolors, which that's the first one. So there's lots of different options here. So you, being the artist, will be able to pick which one you would like to use to fill this in. I want you to take your time, fill in section by section, and really sink into your art. Don't rush. There's no reason to rush doing your art. You'll also notice Miss Karen is doing one thing that is a very smart thing to do. I am painting all of the spots red that I want red, and then I will clean my brush. I will get my next color and start with that color. And I'll just keep working around like that. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't go back to the red at another point and add more. Of course you can. But I'm just saving myself a lot of unnecessary work if I am constantly, all right, let me change colors, orange, paint that orange, close it up, you know, finish it, yellow, I'll do some yellow, oops, I'll do some yellow here, and then, oh, whoops, I forgot an orange spot, so I'm going to go back to my orange. You see, I mean, that's just a lot of work. It doesn't have to be that much work. So try and work section by section and fill it in. Now if you want to go by the sample that's on the paper here, you'll stick to the cold colors, which are the blues and the greens and the purples, and then you can also add in some yellow as well. Totally up to you. There's not a wrong way to do this. There is no wrong way to do art. So I want you to take your time, find the art medium you want to use to fill this in, and go to town. Have some fun and make a beautiful peacock. Thank you, my friends, for joining me. I have really had fun, and I look forward to next time. Please feel free to have Mom or Dad share your pictures with us on our website, on Facebook, Art Lesson Crates, and we would love to see your work. Thanks, you guys. Bye.